What word defines a category suited for both header and footer? So there I was, trying to ask a question, now on webmaster.se, partly involving a header and a footer. One part of my code defines shared aspects of both the header and the footer. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I became somewhat stuck as to what I wanted to name the class they share. All I could come up with was exa, header, footer, and sandwich. Similar word groups like suffix and prefix give me the same issue, coming up with exafiac, which is just awful nomenclature. What categorically describes both headers and footers? Final results, best coinage is running marginals with runner-up, horizontal ribbons. I've chosen running sections as the correct answer, as this phrase is already in use while awarding bounty to marginals, which eventually became running marginals. This conveys attachment to the document's margins as well as the concept of going along said document flow. A subcomponent could potentially have its own running marginals. Running sections and running elements imply a potential to exist in contexts other than the margins of a document component. Sections are slightly more generic in terms of the content they hold as well. Marginals alone may not necessarily run with the document, such as drop-downs, map legends, scales, graph metrics, etc. This new word is handy in other contexts besides the running variety of marginals.
This is a somewhat late answer. Not because I'm suddenly interested in the bounty, but because I assumed someone else would know the correct answer. It's now become clear there isn't currently any single term with established significance that specifically means headers and footers, so we're looking for a new coinage or specialized use of existing words. I therefore propose marginals. In principle, headers/footers might be vertical marginals, as opposed to horizontal marginals on the sides of the main text. In practice, you'd rarely need to reference the horizontal type, because we don't usually put repeating text there in print. That's where the reader pencils in his own notes. We could replace headers with top marginals and footers with bottom marginals. So we'd end up with one less specialized term to remember rather than one more.
The guys and girls at Microsoft couldn't think of a single good unambiguous name either, so they settled on header and footer. Neither, apparently, could the folks at Corel write. While over at Google they didn't bother grouping them at all. The red circle is mine. Neither did the OpenOffice team.
From publication, running head and footer. Running sections? Edit so this would become div.running or equivalent.
There is no commonly used name regrouping both footers and headers, so the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want to create a new term, or will this new terminology put off users? If you want to create a word for that, I would suggest banners. The obvious drawback is that it's already taken, at least in the context of a web page. Ribbons, emphasizing that those are horizontal blocks of text. If you talk about all elements which adorn the page without being the core of the page itself, you could go with adornments, ornaments, etc. The most generic term I can think of would be blocks, as in blocks of text, which you can qualify to your heart's desire, fixed blocks, title blocks, etc. But no solution seems perfect.
To be able to find a word for this, we need to look at what headers and footers have in common. What characterizes headers and footers? Well, they are both text segments located in either the top edge or the bottom edge of a document. Maybe something like edge text or margin text?
If you want to support the channel, please consider